Bill, how did you first meet Doug Engelbart?
Well, let's see. Doug worked in magnetics at SRI. It's the way he paid his way at SRI at the time. It wasn't his vision in any sense, but he knew something about magnetics, and he worked in magnetics. And I started working in magnetics when I joined SRI. And Doug had written a paper. I don't even remember what it was on specifically. It was on some magnetic issue, magnetic core memories and things like that, that had been accepted at a computer conference in Philadelphia. And just about that time, Doug got the initial funding from DARPA to do some of the work he really wanted to do. And he didn't want anything to do with magnetics at that point. And he asked me if I would go give the paper for him. And I said, oh, okay. So I learned what he was in the paper, and I went and presented the paper, and it was well received. And came back, and Doug wanted to show me what he wanted to do. So I went over and talked to Doug, and I thought that was what was really exciting. And he had enough money to let me join his group. So at that point, I helped him put together the very initial implementation of it. We had a 160A computer, very small computer, 8K 12-bit words, which in today's world means nothing. And we were able, with that computer, to drive the big display that you've probably seen in some of the images about Doug.
Now, you worked very closely with Doug for a long time. What most impressed you about him?
Well, his vision impressed me, but I will admit I was on a more practical level because I could see what we needed to do by the way of implementation to begin to demonstrate that. And that's what I was really doing. I was really working with Doug on how we're going to make this, how we're going to implement this so we can show people what it really is.
Now, he was the inventor of the mouse, or is known to be the inventor of the mouse, and I believe you played a role in that as well. What was your role in creating the mouse?
Doug had a sketch of what one might use based on a planimeter as a pointing device, and he showed me the sketch, and I said, oh, that should work. And I went off and figured out how we would implement that, and had it built in the SRI shop at the time. And that was the first mouse. So I actually built the first mouse. And in fact, the patent attorney, when Doug said, oh, Bill should be on the patent, and the attorney said, oh, no, you thought of it. Well, of course, the attorney was entirely wrong. You don't get a patent unless you prove implementation. But anyway, so I built the first mouse.
What was it like working with Doug? Was he easy to work with or difficult?
No, it was very easy. It was a delight working with him. I mean, we shared ideas, and when I talked to him about what ought to be next, he was very supportive of what I wanted to do.
What do you think is ultimately the most important thing about him? His technology that turned into practical things, or his long-term vision?
Oh, the long-term vision, clearly. I mean, the technology was how do we implement that to convey its importance to the world? And it was the vision that was important.
How would you describe his vision? What exactly was his vision?
You know, I don't know how to describe that very well. His vision was that this would be out in the world, and it would people would be able to use it and recognize it. And a lot of that has happened, of course. I mean, we have so many examples today. I mean, simply something as simple as Microsoft Word, which isn't terribly simple, but it's there. Wonderful implementation of Doug's vision.
Do you think he was adequately recognized for his work while he was alive? Do you think the world appreciated sufficiently what he had done?
I don't think the world appreciated his vision at all. I think it. People thought, look at what technology has brought us. We've done it, and that wasn't it at all. Doug didn't think we'd done it.
Was Doug ever satisfied with anything, or did he always think that everything was just a step for some distant future goal?
Oh, he was satisfied at some steps along the way, clearly, but he didn't feel, he felt it never really met what he was interested in, what his goal was.
Do you feel that his long-term goal is in the process of being realized? Are we moving in that direction?
I don't see that so much. I see the individual pieces of technology happening, of course. Just the communication facilities we have today, just the ability to communicate, write, produce things. It's all there, but I don't feel that's really the implementation that Doug was looking for.
He was very well known as a proponent of something called collective intelligence. Do you think that is gaining traction?
I don't. The collective, that is people working together at a level, and that is not so much today. It's there to some extent with the communication that's available on the internet. People in different parts of the world can work together, send things to each other, look at this, look at this. So to some extent that has been implemented, but not completely.
Do you have any interesting stories or anecdotes about Doug that would flesh him out a bit as a person?
Oh, I don't know that I do. Nothing comes to mind immediately. I mean, I'm thinking of the great demo which we put on, which is a very big deal indeed.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about Doug?
Tell us more about the mother of all demos and your involvement in it and how it came about.
Oh, the mother of all demos. The way that came about is Doug again was invited to present a paper at the Fall Joint Computer Conference in San Francisco. And I remember talking to Doug about that and said, what can you say? You can't describe it. We have to show people. And he agreed immediately. He said, yeah, could we do that? And I talked to Bob Taylor, at that time director of DARPA, I believe, and said, we would really like to demonstrate this. Would you be willing to pay for that? And he jumped at the idea. He said, of course. So we went on from there. And we had the money to do it, and I worked out a way that we could actually present in an auditorium. We rented a big screen. Bob Taylor again provided an Ida-4 projector. That was, at the time, a very fancy projector that NASA used. NASA was the big user of such things. And he arranged for NASA to loan us an Ida-4 projector, which was just amazing. It's the only kind of projector around at that time that could fill a 40-foot screen. So we got a projector, and the next thing to do was how do we connect what we're doing to that, and we already had video. All of our screens were produced on a small television screen with a video camera in front of it. That was a great step in the implementation, because then we could put a display almost anywhere.
Do you think Doug's reputation will outlast his life, and he'll still continue to be an important figure in the future? Do you think he'll still be an important figure in the future? Will his legacy go on after his passing?
Now, what? I don't understand your question.
Well, I'm asking, now that he's passed, do you think that his legacy will continue? And
I think so. I don't know how. I don't know of any individual who is committed to carrying it forward. But the evolution of technology gets ever closer, I believe.